Okay, all right, well, let's move on to OneDrive.
Okay, so in Bulb, let me go back. So how I've used OneDrive is a place to get my files that I know that I want my students to see, whether it be a PowerPoint or whether it be a graphic. Let me just go here. And so what's nice is I will go, nope, sorry.
That's okay. You showed our great help pages.
Yeah.
Help from Bulb, right?
Right. Oh. Okay, I will go to the asset library here so that it's a place for me to have all the files that I want to use or all the pictures that I want. And so you can use OneDrive on a page that you've created, but I like to just have everything in my library so that because I'm going in between different classes and I'm sharing different PowerPoints with different classes or different images, I will just add it to my asset library so that it's something that I can pull and I have my videos and my files here. And so what's nice is that Bulb is friendly with OneDrive. And so here in my OneDrive, it will connect to my OneDrive that I have through any documents or files that I've created. No. Yeah, it does. Let me try the whole thing. I'm sorry, guys.
No, you're okay. And I love how teachers and people approach things a little bit differently, because you were talking about how your preference is to kind of manage things through your Bulb asset library. And if you have a Bulb Plus account or a Bulb Ed account, you have unlimited storage in that library, and you can you know, customize it and organize it and everything. And it's interesting because I always do everything from the page perspective. And so I love that you're showing us some different ways of really how to bring in files through OneDrive.
So when I'm not trying from a distance, it does work. I can sign into my OneDrive account, and then I upload all of my pictures, all of my files here. And so then I just have my running bank so that I can pull whatever picture or file that I want to share and have my students create here. So it is friendly, and it will pull up all the documents that I've saved through my email and through everything like that. But it's not letting me log in for some reason. It did the other day. The one thing that I do need to point out, when you're adding it to a page, so if I've created a PowerPoint presentation and I've uploaded it here from OneDrive, I can't, once I've uploaded it, once I've saved it here and I create it on the page, I no longer have the ability to edit that file. It's not live like what I was saying with Microsoft, where if I am in a Microsoft product and I'm typing into that notebook, it automatically makes that change.
Yeah.
And I think maybe Bria's gonna show, but so that is one thing, like if I've shared a document or if I've shared a notes page with my students and now it's day 2 and I have another section, I would need to share that file again. So this is just sharing the file as is, kind of like when I attach it to an email or if I attach it to something else.
Yeah, so I can be your driver for you, and you can kind of talk it through. So when you click, when you're trying to do OneDrive, it now takes you, and I don't have, I don't use OneDrive as much, so I don't have as many options, but yeah, go right ahead.
I primarily, I use it a lot with pictures. So if you see, it doesn't look like we have any pictures, but okay. So for example, Bria, if you want to attach your Excel spreadsheet.
And one little tip too is like if I click this, it's kind of a Microsoft thing, but if I click this, it doesn't do anything. If I click that little circle, check mark, then I can bring that right in. Oh, hold on a second. Well, you know,
this is how I've added all my images and it's worked.
it's always when you're live in front of an audience, right?
Right.
We're gonna try it this way. See
how it's
going.
Okay, so here's a file that's been added, and if I want this to look different for my students, I can't just edit it here and have it save it there because it's not live. I've really just shared like a picture or a copy of the image or of the document. So it's living like more like a picture than it is an active document that they can change and edit.
Yeah, and that's good, especially for those of you who are on and saw the presentation with Google yesterday and Google Docs embedding. That is just a slight difference, even though the workflow is very similar in terms of how you add documents on your page. You go to File and you see there's Google Drive here, and then you have your OneDrive. The Google Drive documents are live and connected, and so updates in Google Drive make updates here. With OneDrive, they're more like adding individual files, as Candice said, one moment at a time. And so you would, if you made changes to that document, you would need to go and re-upload that.
Right. But I do like that everything that I save, like when I download my files, I always save them in my OneDrive. And I don't have to do a lot of extra steps because Bulb will connect to that OneDrive, and I can pull any document that or any image that I've already saved from my OneDrive. I put it in my library, and then as I'm creating the different pages for my different classes, I have access to the different, and I like putting it in my library because some classes work ahead of other classes, so I'm not ready to publish some pages for them yet. And so when my documents are there, I can pull it and I can create the page as I need. So it's just another nice feature of Bulb that it does talk to what I'm using and saving it in, since I'm not saving in a Google Drive since we are a Microsoft district.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you add those documents into your page, as you were saying, whether you start with the asset library or start with the page, if you start with the page, they will be automatically then saved into your asset library. So
yep.
And that's I didn't really have a great example of a PowerPoint, but one of the cool things about PowerPoint is you actually can click through the slides right on a Bulb page. Which is really
again, you do have to remember it's whatever you originally put on that PowerPoint slide. So if I go update that PowerPoint slide, they'll click through, they'll be able to see my PowerPoint, but my changes to the PowerPoint aren't going to automatically save on them, even though it does look like there's some interaction with it and they can click through my slides. I still have to re-add it to the page if I've made any changes to the original PowerPoint. All they can do is click through and see what I've shared with them.
Yeah, that's a great note. We did have a question that comes in, and do OneNotes save to OneDrive? Do you know?
Yes, they will. Yep.
Great.
Yep.
Great.
So if you create something in OneNote, you can save it to your OneDrive, and then if you wanted to put it and publish it on a Bulb page, you would have that ability.
Yeah. So it's it's great. You can single sign into Bulb with your Microsoft account. You can use Bulb in your Teams environment to manage your class and that workflow, and all your documents from Word to PowerPoint to PDF to Excel, OneNote. You'll be able to pull that into your portfolio as well.
Right.
Do we have any other questions from the audience for Candice? And as we're doing that out.
And the last thing I would like to say, like I did mention earlier, is the biggest reason why, even if my students have all these capabilities to see all this different stuff in Teams, the reason I particularly like Bulb is because of all the work they've done making it easy for parents to create pages and accounts, and it's an easy way for them to be able to see the work that their students want to showcase instead of looking at it as it's in progress. So it's really user-friendly for a parent to be able to see what their student has done as well.
Yeah.
So I would still use Bulb over Microsoft Teams.
I love that, Candice. I think that's so important. And when we're talking about family engagement, we'll probably put in the chat too as we go on break. We have parent accounts now. So if you haven't checked those out, you need to go check out our parent accounts. That just helps with that family engagement. And ultimately, Bulb goes with you for life. And so it's this portfolio that goes with those students from year to year to year. And it's not like a OneDrive or a Teams that's really meant to be about that class and kind of those moments in time. But this is that portfolio for students that are theirs, that they take with them. And we know we have kids that move schools and transfer and graduate and all of that. So what are those key things that they're keeping in their portfolios?
And my team, like all the work they create in my team, if I get rid of that class, it goes away. But if they have it published in Bulb, it doesn't go away. So that really cute story that they wrote in 3rd grade, then when they're a senior in high school and parents are like trying to figure out what should we showcase at your graduation party, like how cute would it be to have that like little kindergarten poem that you wrote? Like it does, it stays with them for life, and it's the things that you really are most proud of that you'd want to showcase. Where Microsoft Teams is really, that's where they're doing the work. It's like my virtual classroom, and you don't necessarily want to show work in progress in a classroom, but Bulb is that portfolio space for them to create and show, hey, these are the essays I have done. And they can really, what I also like, and what we're also, now that our district has had it a couple of years, something that we're looking at is for the students to see the progress in their writing. So me here at 6th grade, I'm having them put essays on. Then next year in 7th grade, they're gonna add an essay, 8th grade. And so the students can really start to see their own changes and how they've grown as a writer. And so that's something that we're talking about collaboratively as a department with Bulb, because it's saving everything lifetime, and it's not just here's my classroom. They can start to see some of their own progress.
Yeah. So we are kind of wrapping up and going into our break hour. So if anybody needs to step away and grab a drink of water or anything like that, but we actually did have a couple questions come in, so I thought we would answer those, but just let you know that in about 3 or so minutes, we will kind of be making a transition to our next presenter. Candice, this has been great. So someone had asked, well, isn't Bulb attached to their school email? And yeah, for most of the schools, the Bulb Ed accounts that we create accounts based on their school email address, but both teachers and students, it doesn't matter what kind of type of user you are, you can go into your settings in Bulb and add a personal email address. And that's all it takes for you to take Bulb with you for life. So you can simply go into your settings, add that secondary personal email address, and then you always have access to your Bulb, even when you lose access to your school email address.
What we're trying to show with like the Microsoft Teams and platforms is really in this new blended virtual learning environment that we're getting to. It's all about making it easier for students to find those things. Yes, I can show you 3 other ways my students can access Bulb. But if I create that tab for them, it's less clicking, it's less places that they have to go to find things, it's all housed in one place.
Yeah.
Which in the classroom, I haven't used it before, but now virtual and blending learning, I am using this Teams platform and connecting my websites all there so that it's one place my students go to look for their work.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. I've used the emails and I've used some of the other features Microsoft has before. Like that's always how I've had my students access it. But now when I'm not there to give them those reminders or to remind them of all those passwords, I still want them to have an easy way to access Bulb.
Yeah, that's great. Someone else had asked us, really trying to say, how can you archive student work so that you can access those samples for future class lessons and be able to show that? I know a lot of teachers will show things.